Let me ask you something. What if the reason your plants are not growing is not because you lack nutrients, but because your soil has simply gone quiet? What if beneath the surface, life has slowed down so much that no matter what you add, nothing really changes? Now I remember walking through a garden that looked stuck, not dead, just stuck. Plants were not collapsing, but they were not moving forward either. Leaves held their shape, but the color was not right. Growth had paused. And the grower kept saying the same thing. I have added everything: fertilizer, compost, water, everything that should have worked, but nothing was changing. So I did something simple. I did not reach for more input. I reached down, touched the soil, and listened to what it was telling me. Because sometimes, the problem is not what you have not added. It is that the soil has lost its activity. Healthy soil, wealthy foods, health, strength, stability. Now here is something most people do not realize. Soil is not just a container. It is a living system, and when that system slows down, plants follow. You can add nutrients, but if nothing is moving beneath the surface, those nutrients stay locked, unavailable, unused. Now let me ask you, have you ever done everything right and still felt like your garden just was not responding? Drop that in the comments. Because what you are about to learn is not about adding more. It is about activating what is already there. And there is a simple method, a soil trick, that can begin to shift things in just days. Not weeks, days. But almost no one uses it because it looks too simple. And that simple soil trick is something most people overlook every single day. Because it does not come in a bag, it does not have a label, and it does not feel like a solution. But it is moisture plus oxygen working together. Now this is where things begin to shift, because soil life depends on two things: water and air. Too dry, and life goes dormant. Too wet, and life suffocates. But when you bring those two into balance, you do not just support the soil, you activate it. Healthy soil, wealthy foods, health, strength, stability. Now here is the method. It is simple but powerful when done correctly. You water deeply, not just the surface. You allow that moisture to move down, reaching the root zone. Then you give it time. You do not keep watering every day. You allow the soil to begin to dry slightly, just enough for air to return. And then you repeat. Water deeply, pause, allow oxygen to enter, and repeat again. Now what is happening beneath the surface is something most people never see. Microbial life begins to wake up. It becomes active again. It starts moving, breaking down material, releasing nutrients. And suddenly, that soil that felt quiet begins to work again. Now let me give you a picture. One grower waters lightly. Every day, the surface stays wet, but deeper down, nothing really changes. The soil stays inactive. Another grower waters deeply, then allows that cycle of moisture and air to happen. And within days, something shifts. The soil becomes responsive, alive, and the plants begin to notice. Now let me ask you, how are you watering right now? Are you feeding the surface or activating the soil? Because that difference alone can determine how fast your garden responds. Now this is just the beginning, because once you activate moisture and oxygen, there is another step that multiplies the effect. And when these two come together, that is when the 7-day change really begins to show. And once moisture and oxygen begin to work together, you can take things one step further. Because now your soil is waking up, but it still needs something to feed that activity. And this is where the next step comes in. A light layer of organic matter. Not heavy compost. Not thick piles. Just a thin, gentle layer. Something the soil can respond to quickly. Now this is important, because when the soil is active, it does not need to be overloaded. It just needs something to work with. A small amount of organic material, mulch, finely broken compost, even dried leaves, gives the microbes something to feed on. And once they start feeding, they start multiplying. Healthy soil, wealthy foods, health, strength, stability. Now here is what happens next. That thin layer begins to break down. Microbial life increases. Nutrients begin to release. And the soil starts to build energy again. Now combine that with the moisture and oxygen cycle, and something powerful begins to take place. The soil does not just hold nutrients, it starts moving them toward the roots, toward the plant, toward growth. Now let me give you a picture again. One grower adds heavy compost, thinking more will create faster results, but the soil becomes overwhelmed, slow to respond. Another grower adds just enough, a light layer, then allows the soil to do the work. And within days, they begin to notice something. The color of the plants starts to change. Growth begins to move again. That stuck feeling starts to lift. Now let me ask you, have you been trying to force your soil or support it? Because this method is not about force. It is about activation. Now we are getting closer, because once moisture, oxygen, and organic matter come together, there is one more step that brings everything into alignment. And when that happens, that is when you truly begin to see results. And this final step is what brings everything into alignment. Because now your soil has moisture, it has oxygen, it has something to feed on. There is one thing that determines how fast all of this works together: contact. Now this may sound simple, but it is one of the most overlooked parts of soil recovery, because if your soil is too hard, too compacted, then none of this moves properly. Water cannot spread evenly, air cannot circulate, microbial life cannot travel, everything stays isolated. And when things stay isolated, the system slows down again. Healthy soil, wealthy foods, health, strength, stability. So what do? You do not till heavily. You do not turn everything upside down. You simply open the soil, gently, just enough, to allow connection. This could be as simple as lightly loosening the top layer, using a fork to create small openings, breaking up compacted areas, without disturbing everything. Now what happens next is where things begin to move quickly. Water spreads more evenly, air flows into the soil, microbes begin to travel and multiply, and suddenly, everything starts working together. Now combine all four steps: deep watering, oxygen cycles, light organic matter, gentle soil opening, and something powerful begins to happen. Within days, the soil becomes responsive again. And when soil responds, plants follow. Now let me ask you, have you ever focused only on what you add, and not how your soil is functioning? Because this method is not about adding more, it is about making what is already there work. Now we are coming into the final part of this, because once you understand this process, you do not just fix one problem, you unlock a way of thinking that changes everything. And this is where everything begins to make sense. Because what you have just seen is not a product, not a shortcut, not something you have to keep buying. It is a way of working with your soil, instead of against it. Now think about that for a moment. Most people try to fix their garden from the outside. They add more, they change products, they keep searching for something new. But the real shift happens when you begin to understand how the system works. Healthy soil, wealthy foods, health, strength, stability. Now picture those two people one last time. The first person keeps chasing results. Every time something slows down, they reach for more input, more fertilizer, more compost, more solutions. But the soil underneath never truly wakes up, so the results stay inconsistent. Now the second person learns something different. They do not rush to add more. They focus on activating the soil, moisture, air, organic matter, connection. And within days, they begin to notice something. The soil feels different. Plants begin to respond. Growth becomes steady again. Not forced, but natural. And that is when it clicks. Because now, they are not fixing problems anymore. They are building a system that works on its own. Now let me ask you something. When your plants slow down, do you reach for more input, or do you look at what your soil needs? Drop that in the comments, because that one shift changes everything. Now I want to leave you with this. The reason this works in 7 days, it is because it is aligned with how soil actually functions. And when you align with that, results do not take as long as people think, because the soil beneath your feet is already capable. It already has what it needs. It just needs to be activated. And when you activate living soil, you do not just grow better plants, you create a system that produces again and again. Because when knowledge meets living soil, abundance appears. And before you move on from this, there is one more thing I want you to understand, because this 7-day shift is not the end. It is the beginning. Now most people are looking for something fast, something instant, something that gives them results right away. And yes, When you activate your soil correctly, you can begin to see change quickly, but what really matters is what happens after that. Healthy soil, wealthy foods. Health, strength, stability. Because once your soil comes back to life, your responsibility changes. You are no longer trying to wake it up. You are trying to keep it alive. Now let me give you that final picture. Two people again. The first person sees improvement and goes right back to old habits. Light watering, bare soil, overloading inputs, and slowly, the soil begins to go quiet again. The same cycle repeats. Now the second person sees that change and protects it. They keep the soil covered. They water with intention. They avoid compaction. They continue feeding the soil lightly, not heavily. And over time, something powerful happens. The soil does not just recover, it strengthens. It becomes more resilient, more responsive, more productive. And that is when gardening becomes different. Because now, you are not chasing results. You are maintaining abundance. Now let me ask you one last question. What are you going to do after your soil comes back to life? Because bringing it back is only half the journey. Keeping it alive is what builds everything else. And the truth is, the soil beneath your feet is not just something you fix once. It is something you care for continuously. And when you do that, season after season, you do not just see results. You build something that lasts. Because when you protect living soil, it will always provide. And when it provides, it does not just grow food, it grows stability, strength, and a future you can rely on. Because when knowledge meets living soil, abundance appears. Remember, wealthy foods lead to health, strength, and peace of mind. Thank you for watching, and do not forget to subscribe for more practical wisdom and simple methods to help you grow abundance right where you are. Until next time, keep growing.